Assalamu alaikum dear students. I'm Mrs. Zernab SS English at DPS and ICS, and today I'm going to teach you about transitive and intransitive verbs. So the objectives of our lesson are that by the end of this lesson you will be able to define transitive and intransitive verbs, differentiate between them, identify the transitive and intransitive verbs in given sentences, and do exercise A at page number 22 of Oxford Grammar Tree. Students, before we come to the main topic, before we start our lesson, let us first revise some previous things. Let us first see the previous lessons which you have already learned in your previous classes and your previous lessons. So, before we come to the topic of transitive and intransitive verbs, let us first see that what is a verb actually. So, by definition, verb can be defined as the words which show an action or state of something in the sentence. As you already know that verbs are called action verbs, they show the state or they show the work done in the sentence. Examples are she killed a python and they bought a good house. In both these sentences, killed and bought are the verbs. They are stating the action done by she and they, which are the subjects in the sentence. Students, today we are going to study about the two kinds of verbs that are transitive and intransitive verbs. So transitive verbs by definition are such verbs which require an object to convey their complete meaning. On the contrary, intransitive verbs are those verbs which do not require any object to give their complete meaning. Say again. Transitives are those which require an object to give their complete meaning, while intransitive are those which do not require any object to give their complete meaning. Say one last time. Such verbs which require an object to convey the complete meaning are called transitive verbs, while such verbs which do not require any object to give their complete meaning are called intransitive verbs. Now we're talking about the object, so we should also know that what is an object, isn't it? So before we go into the depth of transitives and intransitive, or we move further in the lesson, let us first see that what is an object. You might have learned about it, you must have learned in fact about it, that what is an object. So the object of any sentence is the one affected by the action carried out by the verb. It is very simple that such a word in a sentence which gets affected by the action word, the verb in a sentence is called an object of that sentence. There are two things like subject and object. So subject is the doer in the sentence which is performing the action, which is doing the action, while the object is the one that is affected by the verb or that it is the word on which the work is being done. In this example, the boy likes the dog. Boy is a subject which is performing a verb which is like, he's liking a dog. And dog is the word which is getting affected by a verb like. And it is also somehow linked to the subject boy. Boy is liking what? It is liking the dog. So up till now we have learned that transitive are those which require an object to give their complete meaning, while intransitive verbs are those which do not require any object to give their complete meaning. And what is an object? An object of any sentence is the one that is affected by the action carried out by the verb. Now transitive verbs, let's move further in the lesson that what are transitive verbs. They are not as difficult as they sound. In fact, they are quite simpler ones. Actually, in order to remember the difference between transitives and intransitive and to give you a hint or reminder, I must tell you that transitive comes from trans. Transitive comes from the word trans, which means to transfer. Transitive comes from the word trans, which means to transfer something. Fine? So such verbs which require an object means that such verbs which require an object, like such verbs which are transferring their action onto an other thing, an other word, an other object are called transitive verbs. Now I think you may be able to relate that how this transfer is uh, being indulged in the lesson. Such verbs which require an object means that such verbs which are transferring their action onto another word or to another object are called transitive verbs. Fine. I think now you will be able to remember it. In fact, it has become quite easier to remember the difference between transitive and intransitive. Let's see the examples. The speaker discussed different marketing strategies. Mariam borrowed the book from her. In these two sentences, the speaker discussed and Mariam borrowed. Students, if I put a paper on the rest of the part of the sentence, like the speaker discussed, and I cover different marketing strategies. If I only say the sentence till the speaker discussed, are you able to understand that what is the sentence about? Is the sentence giving its complete meaning? No, obviously no, because the speaker discussed what? The speaker discussed what? You must be asking the speaker discussed what? The sentence is incomplete. It is requiring an object to give its complete meaning. Means that it is gonna transfer its action to an other thing, an other object. So in this sentence, discussed will be called a transitive verb. In the second example, if I cover the book from her, this part of the sentence, the book from her, and I only say Mariam borrowed. Are you able to understand Mariam borrowed what? Your next question will be that Mariam borrowed what? What is the sentence about? So this sentence as well requires an object to give the complete meaning. So we can infer that such verbs which require an object to transfer their action from themselves to the other thing, to the object, are called transitive verbs. Fine. Shall we move to the rest of the part of the lesson? Let's see again. Before moving on to the next part of the lesson, I want you to see it again that such verbs which require an object are called transitive verbs. Such verbs which require an object are called transitive verbs. Okay, now you will not forget it. Intransitive verbs. Such verbs which do not require any object are called intransitive verbs. Such verbs which do not require any object are called intransitive verbs. Obviously, it is having in it, it is gonna contradict transitive verbs. So transitives, if transitives are transferring the action, then intransitives are not supposed to transfer the action. That is, they are not supposed to require any object for them. See the examples. May I sit? And Sausan laughed loudly. May I sit? Sit is a word that is not requiring any further object to give the complete meaning. In our day-to-day conversation as well, if you just say someone that please sit, sentence is complete in itself. It does give the complete meaning. If you ask someone to please sit, sit does not require any further object to give the complete meaning because sit is an intransitive verb and it is giving its complete meaning. It is not requiring any further object. Fine. In second sentence, Sawson laughed loudly. Loudly here is the adverb of the verb laughed. It is just further informing us about that how does she laugh. It is just enhancing or adding to the meaning of the verb laughed. Rest, it is not doing anything. It is not the object of the sentence. How can we know this? Put a finger on the word loudly. Put your finger on this word loudly and say, cover this part and don't say loudly. Just think that your sentence is up to the word laughed. Sawson laughed. Sawson laughed. Yes, Sawson laughed. And the sentence is complete. We are not requiring any further object to give the complete meaning. Sawson laughed. Yes, Sawson laughed. Sentence is complete. So, intransitive verbs are those verbs which are not requiring any object to give their complete meaning. They are complete in themselves. May I sit and Sawson laughed loudly. Here, sit and laughed are called intransitive verbs. Sit and laughed are called intransitive verbs. Fine? Okay. Students, as you know that in today's lesson we are going to solve the exercise A, which is on page number 22 of Oxford Grammar Tree. So let's solve it. In this exercise, you have to identify the verbs in the sentences given below, and you have to write Y for verbs that require an object and N for the verbs that do not require any object. Okay, you have to write Y for verbs that require an object. Y means yes. So if a verb that is requiring an object, you have to write yes or Y, while for a verb that is not requiring any object, you have to write N or no. Okay, N for no and Y for yes. If it is requiring an object, you have to write Y, and if it is not requiring any object, you have to write no. So, the baby smiled in its sleep. Here, the verb smiled is an intransitive verb. Why? Because if we cover the rest of the part of the sentence and we say the baby smiled, this sentence itself is complete. The baby smiled. Okay, it is an intransitive verb and it is not requiring any further object. So we will write N means no, it is not requiring any further object. In next sentence, the man slept well. Here the verb is slept, and if we don't say well, if we cover this word well and we only say the man slept, sentence up to here is complete in itself and it is not requiring any further object. It is an intransitive verb. So we will write N here, which means no, that it is not requiring any object. He was snoring loudly. Here the verb is snoring. Loudly is just an adverb that is adding to the meaning of snoring, but it is not the object of the sentence. How? Because if we don't say the word loudly, our sentence is complete. He was snoring. It is perfectly complete up to here that he was snoring, and it is not requiring an object. We will write no or N for it. Those boys are singing songs. Those boys are singing songs. Here the verb is singing. Okay, and it is a transitive verb. How? Because without songs, the sentence is incomplete. If we don't say songs, or if we cover the song, if we put a finger on this word songs and we only say the sentence up to here that those boys are singing. If I only say that those boys are singing, are you able to understand that singing what are they singing? You must be asking. You must ask that what are they singing? Isn't it? So singing requires an object which is song. singing requires an object, songs, to give their complete meaning. So it is transferring the action. It is called transitive verb, and it is requiring an object to give the complete meaning. So we will write Y, which means yes, that it is requiring an object. Same is the case with next sentence. These girls are playing hockey. So playing is a verb that is requiring an object, hockey, because if we don't say hockey and we only say the sentence up to this part that these girls are playing, there rises the question that what are these girls playing? Obviously, this requires an object further to give the complete meaning, and since it is requiring an object, we will write by for yes, that yes, they do require an object to give the complete meaning. The clown laughed aloud. The clown laughed aloud. Now, aloud here is an adverb which is just adding to or enhancing the meaning of the verb laughed, but it is not the object because our sentence is complete up to here. The clown laughed. If we don't say aloud, we are very much clear that the clown laughed. The clown laughed. So we will write N for no, that it is not requiring any object. He has read 2 novels. Read here is a transitive verb because it is requiring an object, novel. If we say he has read, you must be asking that he has read what? So since it is requiring any object to give the complete meaning, it is transferring the action. So we will write by that yes, it does require an object. The man giggled softly. Giggled is an intransitive verb because it is not requiring any object to give the complete meaning. Softly is just an adverb like other adverbs above, which we have already seen. It is just enhancing the meaning of giggles, but it is not the object of the sentence. So we will write N for no. She loves instrumental music. Here loves is a transitive verb because it is transferring the action from because it is transferring the action to another word, which is music. Music is the object here, and we will write by because it is transferring the action or it is requiring an object to give the complete meaning. She has composed a poem. Here composed is also a transitive verb because it is also requiring an object to give the complete meaning. If we don't say the word poem, if we put a full stop up till composed, and our sentence will become she has composed, then you will be asking that what has she composed? The sentence will be incomplete without the word poem, which is actually the object of the sentence. So we will say that it does require an object to give the complete meaning. So up till now we have learned that transitive verbs are those which require an object to give the complete meaning, and intransitive verbs are those which do not require an object to give the complete meaning. And we have written Y for those verbs which are transitive and which require an object to give the complete meaning, and N, no, for those verbs which are intransitive and they do not require any object to give the complete meaning. Now students, your assignment is much simpler one. You have to just write down the answers provided of exercise A in your books. Okay? There should be no ambiguity in it that the exercise which we have just solved, you just have to write the answers as it is in your books. You have to solve this exercise in your books, not on the loose sheets or not on copy, but you have to write the answers in your Oxford Grammarly books. Okay? This was all for today's lesson. I hope you had a good time. Thank you and have a good day.